series of Bad Movie Beatdown, and we start off with WrestleMonthia, a whole month of films starring wrestlers, and first up is The Marine. I don't know what Hollywood's obsession is with hiring wrestlers to act in films is. Maybe they figure because they're charismatic in the ring that transfers over to the screen, but we've seen enough times already that just because they're an in-ring success doesn't mean it will bring in the green, or be any good for that matter. Look at the sad movie careers of Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper if you want evidence of that. Hell, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is probably the most successful, and his choice in roles is frankly shaky at best. Recently, the WWE has ventured into producing films of their own. The Marine was intended as their first feature, and was going to star Stone Cold Steve Austin in the title role. See No Evil actually ended up being released before this one. However, Austin and the WWE had a bit of a falling out, so rising star John Cena was hired to take his place. Ah yes, John Cena, the man who is booked to look invincible, and that is why the crowd started to turn on him. He has mic skills, but his wrestling, well, 5 moves of doom and all that. And you'll be glad to know those traits have transferred to the film, so here's Cena at his most ludicrous. So the film starts in an Al-Qaeda compound in Iraq, where some Marines have been captured and are going to be executed. But not if John Triton, played by Cena, gets there first. He's told to wait for his team to arrive, but screw that noise, he's going in guns blazing to shoot the a-holes. America! 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 USA! 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 I mean, hot damn, look at this guy go! He's just dominating over the terrorists who outnumber him 9-1. It's true it's shot so incomprehensibly I can't tell what the hell is happening, but he's making Rambo look like a pussy. All we needed was John Cena and we would have found Osama in days.
We have caught and compromised to a permanent end Osama bin Laden.
He and the other Marines then run out onto the battlefield, ready to kick ass back to freedom in the most jingoistic thing I've ever seen. I should also mention that I'm keeping count of the number of explosions in this film because, well, it's a bit like the 4th of July in this movie, if you know what I mean. We move to a Marine base in Germany, and you'd think John would have got the Medal of Honor for what he did, but it seems not everyone is pleased with what happened.
You disobeyed a direct order. You're being discharged. Walk away with dignity. I'm a Marine.
Not anymore, Sonny Jim! Actually, now that I think about it, we should probably change the title to the Ex-Marine. But hey, things aren't all that bad, because when John goes back home to the States, his supermodel hot wife Kate, played by Kelly Carlson of Nip Tuck fame, jumps on him and shoves her tongue down his throat. He then takes her into the bedroom for an extended bit of bonking. Well, they've probably been building up for a while, they've got to let off some steam a little bit. Although in the hours of lovemaking all the way from the bed to the kitchen, they've never quite got past taking off their underwear.
The hardest thing about you leaving was not knowing. Not knowing where you were, not knowing if you're coming home, not knowing if I'm gonna get that phone call saying that you wouldn't be.
Well, that's very true, but you've rode out the hardest part. Figuratively and literally.
Are you sure about starting this job tomorrow?
Oh.
I just think there's so many other things you could be doing. I just want you to be happy, John.
Come on.
Oh, geez, where are we going?
To make me happy.
He gets a job almost the moment he's out of the court, and he has enough stamina to bonk his wife again, lucky bastard. Elsewhere we meet our villains of the piece, led by Robert Patrick's Rome and his flunky Viscera. Now you see, when I hear that guy's name, I think of this.
The world's largest love machine, Viscera.
Given that this is a WWE film, this is probably not an accident.
Be right back.
You got it, man.
What?
No. Scarface. Come on.
That's horrible.
Ah yes, that iconic line from Scarface, "You got it, man." Surely just as famous as "Say hello to my little friend." Am I right, people? Am I right? Rome walks into a jewellery store and holds the place up with his sidekicks, including lover Angela and Manu Bennett of Spartacus Blood and Sand fame, imaginatively named Bennett. You do have to admire the sheer balls of Rome and his friends to hold up a place without even trying to conceal their identity in front of tens of witnesses. These crooks have clearly paid attention to every detail. Then again, Rome seems like a very impulsive guy if you ask me. For example, after stealing $12 million in diamonds in the vault, he shoots their mole in case he betrays them. This is to show that he's evil. Walking outside, he pulls out a machine gun at the cop car coming to arrest them, and in front of hundreds of witnesses, in broad daylight, and with no attempt to conceal his identity, shoots up the police car. Of course, right-hand man Morgan pulls out a rocket launcher and blows up the car just for added measure, despite his boss being 3 foot in front of the blast.
What? Too much?
Why the hell would you bring a rocket launcher to a bank robbery? I mean, it's bad enough that you're thieves, but now you're cop killers with RPGs! Not exactly discreet and subtle, to say the least. Elsewhere, John starts his new job as a security guard in what I like to call a bit of pointless filler material so he can push the running time to 90 minutes. A jerk-ass ex-boyfriend starts to cause trouble, so John intervenes. Of course, we can't go too long without an action scene, so the jerk has brought 2 bodyguards to have a stupid action scene that culminates in the jerk being thrown through a window. John, I hate to tell you this, but generally you don't try and damage the building you're supposed to be protecting. Unsurprisingly, John is fired. Not bad for his first day.
John, you find another job. You got all that training. Covert reconnaissance, close quarter hand-to-hand combat, demolition. Not a high call in the workplace for skills like that, Joe.
Yeah, life is difficult when you're a scientific experiment to merge together Matt Damon and Mark Wahlberg and then take away all their acting ability. John goes back home to find his escapade has even made the evening news. Pretty impressive that there just happened to be a news crew there when that happened, and Kate suggests that they go on a vacation, to which John agrees. Wow, life is so hard as a Marine. Maybe you can get your smoking hot wife to sex the pain away. Back with our criminals, Rome and Angela to be precise, they're laying low by spending the night in the most plush, expensive hotel room they can find.
Dead cops? All those witnesses? Doesn't that pose a potential problem for us?
So does a prison term. Bottom line is, we got away clean.
Clean? You're probably wanted by every cop in the state, if not the country, after the shit you just pulled. I don't think I'd quite relax just yet. Morgan is sent to get a new car.
Rock candy? Oh, man, you know I hate rock candy.
Oh, that's right, because that one time.
Ooh.
Trust me, you won't even be able to guess where that's heading. Morgan is offered a minivan, which apparently deeply offends his principles because, and I quote, black men don't drive minivans. News to me, but there you go. Of course, he does see something he likes. Did he just break the fourth wall? Jesus, all this comedy scene needs is a laugh track.
Funny black man will be right back after these messages.
And so both parties are on the road, and who knows, at nearly 30 minutes in, we might actually start the plot. John pulls in to get some petrol, which by sheer coincidence just happens to be where Rome's car is filling up too. It's also when the swankiest police car I've ever seen pulls in, and you'd expect those career criminals to keep their cool, but apparently not. It's not like they recognise the people who robbed a store and blew up a police car yesterday. Although the cop is suspicious thanks to Morgan's choice of vehicle, Morgan removes all doubt by shooting him in cold blood. Because, again, who cares about being discreet when you can just kill people? Rome shoots the other officer in the car with some CGI bullets flying into the air because it's cool or something, and Angela shoots the storekeeper. John is KO'd by a fire extinguisher to the face, but anyone who watches wrestling knows that that won't keep him down for long. They swap to John's truck and take Kate as a hostage. Well, I guess a kidnapping charge won't make things worse than they already are right now. Morgan shoots up the petrol station as they leave, resulting in, you guessed it, an explosion. Yeah, I think you've left a big enough smoke signal to be identified 2 towns over, thank you very much. Of course, John no-sells a petrol station explosion to the face, with him inside no less, because, you know, he's a Marine. They have skills to prepare you for things like that. I actually have a special interview here with a Marine, the Critical Marine in fact. I'm here with the Critical Marine. Thank you once again for allowing me to interview you, and
My pleasure.
Okay, first question. How do you survive an explosion to the face?
Say again?
Well, I'm reviewing the movie The Marine, and I just wanted to ask, how do you survive so many explosions and be just like John Cena?
That movie's an insult to Marines, film brat.
Film brain, but thank you for having the interview with me again. Okay, I'm clearly taking up a lot of your time, so I'm only going to ask one final question.
Okay.
At what point in the training regime did you acquire superpowers? Semper Fi! Always been rooting for you!
That's the wrong salute, dumbass.
Eyes in the back of his head. I knew it. As the Cadillac explodes behind him in a somewhat delayed reaction, John pulls out the injured but still alive cop from the car before taking it so he can give chase to Rome.
Highway Patrol, this is John Triton. You have officers down at Manzi's Gas. Multiple assailants headed southbound on I-95 in a black Navigator. They have a hostage. It's my wife.
John, this is Highway Patrol. You are aware that stealing a cop car is a felony, right? Hello? Hello? Sir! Sir! So John soon catches up to Rome and they obviously start shooting at him. Well, actually they seem more concerned with shooting the front of the car than John, who besides briefly covering his face with a bulletproof vest, never gets shot at despite the windscreen being punched out. You have to admit those police cars are well worth their cost. 100 bullet holes and they're still going strong! The car keeps on going as they go through not one but two sets of roadworks, which make the car lose its bumper and roof.
This guy's like the Terminator.
See, it's funny because it's Robert Patrick and he played the T-1000. Well, I thought it was funny anyway, so shut up. The chase comes to a close at a cliff and Rome waits for John to arrive. I love how the guy still shoots at the car instead of the guy clearly jumping out into the water. Although apparently no one saw John obviously jump out and presume he's dead. The crash has wrecked the truck too, so now Rome's gang have to go on foot through the swamp to make the drop-off points, with Angie knocking out Kate so Morgan can carry her. And of course the police are on their case, including Van Buren, who goes to the cliff crash.
Detective Van Buren, homicide. I'm gonna assume you're John Triton.
They took my wife.
That's a matter for law enforcement now.
I'm not asking for it.
You know, this whole area is tidal. The way the water level changes, these guys are gonna be impossible to track.
I can handle it.
He's a Marine! He could track down Chuck Norris and Steven Seagal at the same time in a blizzard because he's got skills, man. And it's around this time that the group start bickering between themselves.
What the hell with this?
Well, you got a problem, brother?
My problem is walking through this dirty-ass swamp with the entire county looking for us because somebody decided that killing cops was a good idea.
Genius. That somebody's you. You're the one that killed the cops.
Well, no, because Rome tried to kill the second cop, and he shot the two cops the day before, so... yeah, you're just about as stupid as each other, really. So Morgan goes on about how everyone blames him because he's the black man or something stupid like that. Are we sure this guy isn't related to Tracy Morgan? He then draws his gun on Viscera for no apparent reason. There's the fun game of Viscera's facial hair. Here's the last scene, clean shaven-ish, but in this scene he's got a goatee now. Hi, reshoot!
Whoa, Morgan! You are one crazy son of a bitch. But no one's gonna get killed here until I give the go-ahead.
What was that?
The go-ahead.
No, this doesn't make any sense! This situation could have resolved with no one getting killed. That character was completely pointless. And just to make this death pointlessly nasty, a bunch of alligators come out of the swamp and eat Viscera's corpse in what looks like a scene out of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. It's good to know that filming techniques haven't advanced much in 20 years. Of course, the only reason that scene exists is so John can get a really big knife. And that's not the only random impulsive decision Rome makes either.
How you doing? You know that triple homicide I was just involved in? One all over the nose? Yeah, right. That's the one. I think I can now add kidnapping to my litany of atrocities.
Why are you telling me all this?
Well, because in the middle of blowing up the gas station, killing the Marine, and now kidnapping, I had a great idea. It's called You're Out.
No way you can get away with this without me.
Can you hold on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, does that include all the premium channels and the sports package?
You gotta admire someone who not only betrays his boss, but then blows him off in favour of setting up his cable TV package. Now that is a special kind of evil right there. So there's a bit of running around in the forest when John ends up encountering a bunch of hillbillies who think he's a cop. Yes, that's why he's not in uniform, idiots, and knock him out. They take him to the set of Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning and tie him to a chair. If you think the point of this bit is to just add a completely irrelevant fight scene, congratulations! He takes out the two hicks, knocking one straight through a brick and mortar pillar because he's a Marine and shit, and then runs off where this is never mentioned again. Yep, that was completely irrelevant. I do love nakedly obvious panning for a movie that's not even 90 minutes long. Rome's group find an abandoned bar and John tracks them to the spot. Whilst there, Morgan finally reveals the source of his hate for rock candy.
Yeah, well, actually, I did go to camp once. I was 13 years old, and there was this camp counselor, cool, hunky Timothy, or as he liked to be called, Johnny Whiplash. First, he offered friendship, then some rock candy. Then he offered me something that I never should have accepted.
That's right, Morgan was molested as a child, and if you put deliverance strings over it, it becomes funny as opposed to wildly out of place and offensive. Morgan is then sent outside to fix the generator, and like in a slasher flick, you know it's his turn to snuff it. Sure enough, John jumps him and they fight, with John no-selling an oar and a bottle to the head, stabbing Morgan with Viscera's knife. Rome gets on the phone to his car dealer for a gratuitous panty shot, and so he can get a vehicle to Rita's marina, which John overhears. Rome then sends Bennett outside to find Morgan, again like a bad slasher. John beats him up too and chokeslam! Ooh, fatality! That's some Bruce Lee shit right there. Van Buren stumbles onto John as he prepares to make a move, but John doesn't question why the heck he'd be there. So whilst the girls are having a chick fight outside, John and VB corner Rome, but it turns out that VB was actually Rome's boss. But action scene time! As Rome shoots VB and then runs off shooting the generator, causing the building to blow up, because we're well overdue for one. Holy shit! I know it's a bar and it has a lot of alcohol in it, but was the building made out of explodium? It looks like Hiroshima! Rome and Angela drive off with Kate. After surviving the third blast that he should have been incinerated by, John comes out of the water to find a police boat arresting him. He cuffs the cop, stealing his gun and boat. You know, I don't think the cops take kindly to you stealing their vehicles twice in one day. After trading VB's car for a semi, Rome makes it to Rita's marina, as does John using his boat. He catches up to the semi by foot and throws out Angela right into the path of an oncoming bus. Oh, holy crap, John, that was cold, especially for a woman. Rome is rather pissed off now that he has no girl and no diamonds, and he manages to lock John out of the cab. He then crashes through not one, but two shacks, knocking off John with the second. But remember, he's a Super Cena, so not only can he be driven through a building, but he doesn't even have a scratch on him. Rome then ditches Kate in the semi, which continues to drive without a driver for some reason, crashing into a shack of exploding stuff, and then, oh, for fuck's sake! Explosions! This is what Michael Bay sees in his wet dreams. The semi then crashes out the other side, which somehow makes the whole building explode. You know, I'm not even going to ask why at this point, before crashing into the river with Kate still handcuffed inside. Rome and John duke it out, and if you're a wrestling fan, you know how this goes. Rome is on the offensive for the first 2/3 of the match, with John apparently down and out, especially after a severe sledgehammer hit from Triple H. However, after coming at him with a chainsaw, John manages to overcome the odds in his favour, shrugging off his repeated injuries to deliver a 5-knuckle shuffle right into the inferno to get the victory. 1, 2, 3, pinfall! Repeat that for about a dozen pay-per-views and watch your merchandising revenues soar. The building then explodes as John dives into the... That's not diving, that's flying! Cena gets down to the submerged semi where Kate is unconscious. Using his Super Cena powers, John rips off the bar Kate is cuffed to with his bare hands before pulling her to the surface. Really, movie? You're still doing explosions in the emotional, dramatic scene? Bloody hell.
That was like an explosion.
So Cena tries good old movie CPR to try and bring her back.
Wake up! Goddamn you bitch! You never backed away from anything in your life! Now fight!
Eventually, the cliche storm concludes by bringing her back to life. Everything is fine. Shit! A jump scare in an action film? How the hell is Rome still alive? He was knocked into a fireball and crushed, and the building exploded several times. The guy shouldn't just be dead, he should be cremated. Luckily, John gets the upper hand and uses the chain to break Rome's neck, killing him for reals this time. And the cops arrive, presumably to arrest John for stealing police vehicles as the film moves into credits. Screw a coda, just get us the hell out of here! So that was The Marine, which is basically a tribute to 80s action films by way of Michael Bay's masturbatory fireworks. This is one of my favourite so bad it's good films. It's absolutely awful. John Cena as a leading man is hindered by the fact that he may look the part, but he certainly can't act the part. When it comes to trying to register emotion, he's out for the count. That's probably why they give him as little dialogue as possible. Instead, the film makes everything OTT to the point of lunacy and then some. Robert Patrick smirks his way through as the baddie, the explosionometer shits itself, the humour is so broad it can be seen from space, and the plot makes no sense. It's a gloriously camp movie, and because of that, it's bundles of fun. I ironically recommend it if you're a mental masochist like I am. I'm Matthew Buck, beating down bad movies everywhere.